I don't own a green tie, that's what I was
You
telling
should have
Michelle.
got him a green mask,
I don't-
like you have,
yeah,
Teresa.
I think I have one green t-shirt.
Good morning. Welcome to the Lorain County Board of Commissioners meeting of March 17th, 2021. This meeting will now come to order. We will rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And our inspirational word for the day comes from Ephesians, use every chance you have for doing good.
Thank you, Commissioner Lundy. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung,
Here.
Commissioner Moore,
Here.
Commissioner Lundy.
Here.
Okay, and we will move right into resolutions. Madam Clerk,
Number 1, investments.
move to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Number 2, appropriations.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Number 3, transfers.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Number 4, advances and repayments.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Number 5, requisitions.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board?
Yes, Madam President, if I could, I'd like to register my objection to log number 603. And if I could explain my objection.
Yes, sir.
This is pertaining to legal work being done in the county. I tried to have this conversation with the county administrator this morning. He's like the invisible man, he's everywhere. Hard to catch up with, but first off, on the legal bill, and maybe legal counsel can inform us, but the thinking is that since some of this legal work was done for TIF purposes, is it not a permissible reimbursed expense through a TIF for engineering and legal expenses that could be reimbursed later on?
You just took a big breath. I think
I took a big breath because it's a complicated question. I haven't seen the bill. I assume you're talking about Omer and Burns' bill.
Yes.
I haven't seen the bill. I don't know what the work is that you're referring to. So without being able to tell what they did, it's hard for me to tell you whether it's reimbursable or not. You're talking about the litigation, the TIF litigation that's currently ongoing?
Correct. Yeah.
I would have to look at the bill and see why it would go the way it was.
I just believe for the sake of, the taxpayers, if there's a way that if a TIF should proceed, if that's an allowable expense, that could be reimbursed as a result of that TIF. That's why I thought that should probably be a separate item instead of actually being merged into one bill.
I think they
Wait,
did a
can I-
cutout, though. I thought they did a cutout on the tip, didn't they?
Can I realize that our office is conflicted out of the TIF litigation?
Right.
Number
Okay.
one.
Oh, wow.
Number two, I believe that we're conflicted out of the TIF litigation. If we're again, I don't like talking about these things when I'm not going to look at the documents. If there's something you want me to look at, I'll be happy to. And I don't know what billing arrangements were made with prior counsel under the TIF litigation or what's been done with the current litigation, but I'm happy to review the bills and give you an opinion if you'd like.
Okay. I was just thinking that, if there's an opportunity for that to be reimbursed, that's certainly what we should do.
But are you allowed to give an opinion on that since
No.
you've been conflicted out?
I'm probably allowed to look at the bill and tell you whether this should be billed under a different matter than the matter that it's billed under.
Okay.
But I would tell you that in my discussions with Omer.
Well, in general terms, if somebody was working on a TIF project, would it be a reimbursable expense?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know at this point. I don't know.
Okay. I guess the only other thing I would bring up is that The other reason for the objection and is that part of this bill shows legal work that we did on the Port Authority, and I think I made my comments very clear to the county administrator that it was my desire that we would have used maybe more of a diplomatic approach instead of having attorneys involved. I believe in starting with a conversation, not confrontation. They're respected and professional people in our community serving on that board. I think we could have had a conversation saying, hey, there's a new administration. We want to make a transition instead of going down the road of entering the room with the bat swinging, and now the taxpayers are stuck with a $16,000 legal bill because we chose not to have a conversation and instead have confrontation. The other item I guess I'd like to cover is that I know the combined bill here is a bill of over $84,000. 46,300 were accrued in the first 27 days. It's my understanding this firm was going to handle negotiations and assist on personnel matters. I won't name the firm that I thought they would be replacing. So I feel misled by the direction that this is going, because I thought that was going to be the area that they would be working on, but then the scope became wider. I understand they're doing the TIF Columbia Station, but now all this has spiraled into a very hefty legal bill. I believe it's time to change course, get back to using the prosecutor's office as our primary counsel. They've had the chance to settle in. You now have had the chance to settle in. I think everybody's had a chance to get to know each other. But the taxpayers shouldn't be saddled with these hefty legal bills when I believe the prosecutor's office is there to do the work of the people and can do it in a more affordable approach than the path that we're now on. So those are my comments, and that's why I'm objecting to 603.
Thank you, Commissioner Lundy. Commissioner Moore,
No,
do you have anything?
thanks for the comments. Back when we took office, we brought in, Commissioner Hung and I decided to bring in outside legal counsel outside the county. We replaced a law firm that was going from anywhere from $500 to $795. Unfortunately, the media covered it as a $495 bill as a headline. Taking a look at the past, what I found out with other legal bills, I can get into right now, but I'm not. In executive session, there's several discussions that we are not at liberty to discuss today, which I can tell you right now, this bill today is well worth every penny by bringing this law firm in. We are comfortable with the county prosecutor's office. I'm extremely happy with the relationship we have with the assistant prosecutor, Dan Petticord. I have no issues with the prosecutor's office. This is basically, we brought this in for somebody to look out for outside counsel, one of the top female attorneys in the state of Ohio. We wanted to feel comfortable that the taxpayers were being protected. And when the time comes, you will see they were. But right now, we're not at liberty to discuss this, which puts us, or me, in a bad and awkward situation to debate this issue. So I'll be supporting this resolution, but I have other issues on this requisition sheet. I see that EMA is actually going off on 589, 593, and 594, spending $14,000 for advertising at WEOL, $4,700 for WDLW, WOBL is getting $4,700. What about WNVN? We have smaller local communities that need to know why they're being ignored. They need to know, why aren't we getting this advertising dollars? This is a minority-owned radio station that's getting nothing from this county. EMA is getting funds from this. This isn't even general fund money, folks. This is coming from a grant to market EMA. It's just going to these three stations. Why are other stations not being involved? I'd like to pull these three and make it a little bit more equitable so that others in our community, the businesses themselves should benefit financially. The people should hear what's going on. If this marketing spending close to $20,000 is that important, why is it only targeted 3 radio stations and not others? So I'm asking to pull these out and ask the EMA director to get us some more bids from other stations. If he's going to do radio ads for 3 stations, maybe have him come back in here and tell me, why are you not picking the other ones? Why are you just choosing these 3? If you got $20,000 to dole out in grant money for marketing, whatever he's marketing, You know, why did he just choose these three? All I got is a requisition to take grant funds that goes here. You know, did he file out an application? Was that the only way he could do it? I don't know.
I'll second that motion if that's a motion.
It's not a motion. I'm just, if you want a second, I'm adding mine that like, you're making your motion. You're not supporting
Right.
the legal fees. I'm not supporting 589. I'm going to support the legal fees if we're going to get this really crazy. So, and that'll be up to Teresa, okay? But I'm not supporting 589. I can't now, see, these foggy glasses and I can't see. Now I'm scribbling all over, getting mad. 493 and 594 and 593 and 589. You know, I've talked to, Mark Ballard's doing a great job trying to create something positive in the city of Lorain with his nonprofit station. And I've talked to him. He goes, why, you know what? He goes, the previous administration, I don't know why I'm not getting money. I says, well, you know what? We got an opportunity here to see why you're not. And so maybe Tom Kelly can come in and explain why, or maybe their county administrator can call him up and find out. Maybe we can get some bids, or maybe we can just be a little bit more equitable and sharing the wealth from the federal government, to some other companies in Lorain County.
Okay, so Madam Clerk, for today, we will be pulling 589, 593, and 594 at the request of Commissioner Moore and Commissioner Lundy. I have as far as 603, that will stay. I'm in agreement with Commissioner Moore. Okay, so do I need to,
Objection.
With his
yes,
objection.
with Commissioner Lundy's objection. Okay, so we're good for the record?
Yes.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Yes,
Commissioner Lundy.
Yes, with the objection noted on 603.
and mine with my notices, so.
We're all
Thank
noted.
you. Thank you, Commissioners. Okay, and we're on number 6, Madam Clerk.
And number 6, travel, there is none. Number 7, bills.
Move to approve. Can I get a second, gentlemen?
Second.
Okay, motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board on the bills? Okay, Madam Clerk, please read the roll. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Okay. The next item of business is number 8. Authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within the jurisdiction of Lorain County Board of Commissioners. At the conclusion of today's board meeting, the commissioners may recess into an executive session to discuss personnel and new hires and various board appointments. The next item of business is number 9. I move to approve the meeting minutes and waive the reading of the minutes of March 10th, 2021.
Second?
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung.
Yes.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Okay, the next item of business is number 10. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
I might have to make a correction here, but approve the 2021 appropriations budget.
Oh,
No, 2021, yeah.
yes. And in my reading last night, I didn't catch that.
That's okay. I didn't catch it either. I'm like, oh,
Okay, so we will just, I can say that it is correct on the resolution. It's just on the agenda, we'll need a correction of adding the 1. So I will move to approve.
Oh, waiting for a second? I'll give you a second.
Okay. Commissioner Lundy. Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Lundy. Any discussion from the board on the budget?
I guess, sorry about that.
Spam.
Okay. First off, I just wanted to say that, putting together the budget's always, it's always a big challenge. It's a heavy lift. It's a lot of work. It's certainly was nice to start the year with a carryover of $25,480,304.44. Everyone who came in and presented their budgets, I think they have been very consistent in that they've been consistent about presenting a responsible budget. And so I want to thank them first off for starting, because I know they pay attention to things. Many, I think, can breathe a sigh of relief because there were some who were led to believe that, maybe they'd be facing some reductions or cuts. I just, for the record, I guess, want to say that I was not happy that there was an approach of fire in the auditorium, and maybe we'd have to be making the budget cuts. I think we've been in a strong financial position. The auditorium wasn't on fire. I never want a situation where our sheriffs or deputies or any of our county workers go home at night worried about cuts when we know that it's not going to happen. I think it's disrespectful to them and their families and all the county employees. So I would just say that in the future, that I hope we'll replace fear with facts, and let's move forward. Let's hopefully report at the end of this year a new record carryover. That should be our goal for Lorain County, and stand ready and willing to work with you. We're still waiting to see what will come as a result of the Rescue Plan Act, see what that looks like. I'm still having a hard time wrapping my brain around the potential of $60 million, but I'm sure there's going to be all kind of guidelines and contingencies as to how those dollars can be expended. But it will certainly prove for some interesting conversations, I'm sure, in the boardroom about how we'll work with that moving forward. But it's nice to know that the federal government still recognizes we're in this pandemic. We've got a long way to go. We've got, struggling families that need a lot of help, people looking for work. So look forward to working with you moving forward and putting this one to bed for now.
Thank you, Commissioner Lundy. Commissioner Moore?
Yeah, nothing like telling you got $60 million while we're trying to work on a budget.
Nice problem to have.
We'll see what kind of handcuffs they give us this time. Yeah, so I'm not really happy at what's happening. I feel like we're operating at a deficit spending. I have an analysis that haven't completed yet, but I'll be working on for the 2022 budget. I'm taking a look at what happened in 2015 and why the budget went from a $53 million to a $70+ million budget. So there's nothing I can do with today's budget that's being voted on. It's gonna be kind of tough to cut when you got $60 million coming. But I was born and raised in Flint, Michigan, and I saw what happened when auto workers were getting 70 hours a week, and then they got cut to 30 and 40. I saw the devastation when people were living when you get an influx of cash like this, and then everybody's happy because the budget's great, the budget's healthy. In 2002, Jim Rokesy was the budget director, and he said, because I asked him, I said, this makes no sense to me because our revenue is this much, but our budget's this much. So we passed a net neutral budget, which means whatever the county auditor projected, which in this year's budget is $63 million, that's kind of the number I was getting to. I think we were at 76 million, we got down to 68 million, which is a very good fight that everybody had on their budget. But I'm just not comfortable with, I know we're fine this year, I know we're fine next year. My concern is when there's no more sugar daddy in DC throwing money at us. And that is my concern. I want to make sure we're living within our means. And I think the taxpayers are, they owe that. All three of us are going to have three different opinions on how to attack this budget. I'm sorry, but I might be a little bit more aggressive. So I'm going to be analyzing the 2022 budget. I'll be attacking the net revenue if we can go that way. We'll see. But like I said, I'm not going to be supporting this budget. I'll be voting no.
Thank you, Commissioner Moore. In the budget meetings, we had discussion from Sheriff Stemetti on what he could do if he was given his full budget request. And he had said he was down 2 deputies that he needed to replace. And I then, we had kind of an open dialogue and discussion, and he said he would like to add 3 more. So in these past few weeks of discussions with him, he has indicated he can replace the 2 and he can add the 3, and he possibly may be able to squeeze 1 or 2 more new hires into that, and as well as add at our jail corrections staff. So That's something that's very important to me, so I'm pleased to see that we're able to do that for the public this year. I do agree with Commissioner Moore that in 2 years, we need to watch our spending, because in 2 years, we are in a deficit spending situation this year. So that means we will be spending more than we are actually taking in, sales tax. Now, again, we've got the possibility of the relief dollars coming in. We're being told it's going to come in two separate portions. So we don't know what the first chunk of money is going to be. We don't have any of that information yet. So I will be voting yes, but proceeding with caution, and in the next 2 years, looking forward to looking into the numbers and the reports and what Dave is going to work on that. So cautiously optimistic on where we're going to be in 2 years.
I'm sure it'll be more than just me. I'm sure Commissioner Lundy and Commissioner Hung will all be battling out the budget, so it should be and which is what this should be. We should all three be analyzing and fighting and making sure we do what's right, and I think all three of us will, so.
Yep.
Yeah, the issue with budgets is, in Columbus, we used to have about a 3,000-page budget bill. And, there's some things you like, there's some things you don't like, there's some things you agree with, some things you don't agree with. I realize that I think at the end of the day, the economy is going to continue to grow. We'll still be collecting sales tax through June. And, I think we're going to still end up in a very strong position for years to come. I'm very conservative about budgeting, and I think I said in this room, I think what's coming from Washington, while I'm appreciative, is definitely on the generous side. But if that's what they're going to provide, the way it works is when the federal government provides dollars, you either take those dollars or somebody else will. So we'll make sure that they're utilized. We got lots of ticking time bombs out there that need to be fixed, whether it's at the jail or some other areas that need to be addressed. The thing that will be good is there will be a longer window to actually work on things, because there was such a short window to get anything done when you have to put together bid specs and then go out for bids, review the bids, hire the people, get the materials, bring in the labor. It was almost impossible to get things done that probably needed to be done last time around. So this time around, I think the expenditures can go through 2024.
Yep, the end of 24,
Right.
which is, that's an election year, I think.
Yeah, right. And that'll give us more
Sorry.
time to work on things. So, and I want to thank my colleagues. I know how strongly you feel about supporting, our sheriff and our jail and the men and women who put their lives on the line every day. I have always been a strong supporter of law enforcement, whether it was in Columbus or whether it was a councilman in Avon Lake or here as a county commissioner, and we'll continue to do so. They put their lives on the line every day. I was glad to hear they finally got all their vaccinations, and so the first responders are covered. But it's important for people to know, and you know this, Dave, from having been here before, and Commissioner Hung, you know this from North Ridgeville Council. It's a fluid document. Things change throughout the course of a year. So we'll see what direction the boat goes and how we have to navigate the channel. But we'll get through it. And as I said, I stand ready and willing to work with you. I think, I'm pretty conservative fiscally as well. So, we'll work through it and see what the future holds. But I think this is a workable budget for county government for 2021.
You all set, Commissioner Moore?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and I also want to remind members of the media and the public and the Facebookers that we are not going to get a check for $60 million next week.
No,
So
not at all.
understand that we're being told it's coming in two chunks. The first chunk will be obviously sooner rather than later. We don't know how much it's going to be, but I would think it's going to be a smaller amount, significantly smaller than $60 million. So please be advised of that, and in your reporting to the media, please fact check that, please. I would appreciate that. So, okay, we're all set, guys?
I think our county administrator got excited when we started talking about money, so.
Okay, Mr. Administrator.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Tom-
there
Mr.
is something
Administrator
out
Tom
there. In the
Williams.
House bill, they included the townships, but in the Senate bill, they removed the townships from this. So there's about 18 states that are impacted. So they're looking at going through and making adjustments. So the $60 million is an estimate right now. When they go through and do the formula, it's going to come down. And I just want to make sure that people are aware they are going through and redoing the calculations for those states. Not sure how dramatic it's going to impact it, but again, the townships weren't included, and we're hoping that that's going to get changed and they'll get some revenue as well. So,
And if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Administrator, on the paperwork, municipalities were carved out, townships were not.
correct. Yeah, we don't think it was intentional. It was just something that was going through. It was a rush, and like I said, it was in the House, got removed from the Senate. Now they're trying to correct it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
That's a big oversight, I gotta tell you. I don't know how they made that mistake. But yeah, because they actually have a 65 billion, I think, for counties, and then the municipalities were in a separate category. But like you said, yeah, the townships, I don't know how they missed that one. Shame on them. They shouldn't have missed that, but definitely want to make sure the townships get their dollars as well.
Yes, and as we've talked about in the recent past, account numbers, our budget director will be setting up the account for that, and anything we do, the account number will be listed on the resolution. So, okay,
Can't wait to see those protesters out front waiting for money.
well, we will see. All right, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore.
No.
Okay. Job and Family Services, the next item of business is number 11. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Authorize President of the Commissioners to have authority to approve and authorize payments to expedite the process of the rental emergency assistance through Job and Family Services.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board?
Yeah, I guess I would just like to learn a little bit more, because I thought we'd already given the green light on
Yes.
this initiative, and I knew there were some delays.
In the lieu of waiting the 5 working days for the approval by the board to have the checks cut, the president of the board can approve them daily to expedite the process with the auditor's office. This is all part of our efforts here on the Board of Commissioners to work together and put Lorain County residents first and get these checks out quicker.
Yeah, I guess, I know that I had a conversation, it'll be in my report with Marcy Kapter's office regarding this matter, so I bring that up during the report, but I do know that we can't get this program moving fast enough, and I don't know, Commissioner Moore, have you had any more discussions? about
Yeah, I went out yesterday and spoke with the group, and I kind of had them run me through the process. I had them run me through the process as a landlord, then run me through the process as a tenant, okay? Disappointed. Not in our group. Our team is doing an excellent job. I'm disappointed in the software program in which they said we're the 10th state to do it. Our group is putting together a very strong recommendation. Should be done today or tomorrow. There's certain questions that are not being addressed, and it's not user-friendly. I think that has been corrected. I feel comfortable now. They have over 400 applications that are ready to go. They're processing them manually right now. They actually got a lot of checks out already. In fact, we had one landlord that went through his property manager, and that's what we have to target is those companies and your municipalities, like your municipal judges and that, who are going through the eviction process. And I'm feeling pretty comfortable. I was really nervous because, I don't want to send $1 back to the federal government. That was my fear. Yesterday, watching our team work, watching the team put together the PowerPoint presentation for me, and I was not an easy customer, I can tell you that right now. As I went through and I would stop, make them go back, and we would go through it and analyze it. They had the similar questions and concerns that I had. The beauty of it is they are getting checks out. They are getting the checks out manually. They will be downloading the ones that they have right now. Once the computer system is smoother, I believe that should be corrected today or tomorrow. If people are interested, don't hesitate to call. They'll talk to you. They'll walk you through the process, and it's a very easy process to, for somebody, and I should have brought the numbers with me, family of 12. I mean, they got how much money you can make, and an average family of 4, let's say, if you're making $60,000 a year, you qualify. And so this is a very good program. I believe it's, all the bugs did get worked out, or will be worked out in the next 24 hours. So I feel a lot better after meeting with our team over there that the 9 million is going to get on the street by September, and that was my concern, because then we're talking there might be even more money coming.
Right.
I'm hearing. So once we get the system to flow so efficiently and effortlessly, then the next round that comes in is going to just be it's going to be a very easy process. So they're in the process of creating a short 30 to 45-second video on how to, so they can put it out on Facebook, get it out on all the social sites such as Rent to Buy, rental, areas where people look for when they're having trouble. So they're actually producing some of these smaller little programs to help people with the process. So like I says, our team is doing a great job. I believe the money will be getting out, and I believe once these kinks are worked out, they're not major kinks, they're just, customer-friendly kinks that we want to make sure people can handle. So, like I said, it was a very good meeting. I felt really comfortable about our team out there.
Okay.
If I could, Madam President, through you to Commissioner Moore, I guess I was a little concerned when you said you weren't comfortable with the software, because I thought that was one of the things that was holding everything up.
The
Software that was being used for processing the
Yeah.
applications.
What happened was that held them up, and then they kind of went live, but there was an issue, and it's really minor stuff, but it's just right, Tom. I mean,
County Administrator Tom Williams.
Yeah, with that, going through, it's been done quickly. Typically, when you do a software, you do a test protocol.
Right.
And when you do the test protocol, you're putting out exactly what you expect. If you put input in, what is your output going to be? And with the software, we found out the output wasn't being delivered. So the team yesterday was going through and doing that, put together a list of what needs to be corrected. They're going to be working with the company today, tomorrow, this week to get those issues resolved. So as far as when you go through and you do an investment on software, you expect that to be done, but again, trying to get this done within 10 days, well, actually a little longer than that, 15 days. Did put a bump in it, but this is a company that's been done in 10 different states, so I think that's where the disappointment comes through. If they've done this, implemented in 10 different states, why did we have this issue? Got some answers. I'm not sure if I'm in total agreement with it, but again, the team recognized it, documented it, and we'll be following up at the end of the week to ensure that those issues have been corrected.
well, not only that, amazingly, when these programs come out, all sorts, state levels, they ask for pretty much proof of that you're a citizen of this country. This program does not require that. So our team put together so that you do need a social security number. You do need a social security card. You do need a driver's license or a state ID. Tom and I were there, and we both were shocked when we heard that is not a requirement. So our team put that in, which I thought was pretty good, so.
Yeah.
I think we have to stay in compliance with whatever the federal guidelines are. I don't think
There
that's
was-
our decision.
No, there's no guidelines whatsoever, one way or the other, so.
Yeah, the treasurer didn't put it in there. All the other programs that go through Job and Family Services require that you're legally in the country. As long as you got the proper documentation, then you can go through and be part of it. The treasury, for some reason, removed that qualification, and the team did put that back in, that we're going to follow the standard, which goes through Job and Family Services requiring Social Security number. If you take it out, I mean, you look at a dollar amount, when you take out the administration fees, everything else that goes through, you're looking at 1,800 people,
Well, families.
families that can get this money. So we want to make sure that it is going to Lorain County residents that are here, and basically paying the taxes and everything else.
And those,
so.
and those numbers came up with an average of $5,000 assistance for each family. That's, we looked at that, divided it out and thought, it's gonna be helping anywhere from 1,800 to 2,300 families in this county. We don't know how much more money we're gonna be getting. We really don't. So hopefully, by the end of the week, we should know probably before the end of the week that it should be a smooth and running software program. But like you said, they spent a lot of money on it. It sounded like it was a great program, and I think it is. I went through it. It's very simplistic, but there was a lot of unanswered questions, and the interface going back and forth wasn't really as nice. I mean, we don't allow in our county ACH transfers like it has to be written through a check. Okay, other states don't do that. So there's things like that that are minor, so it's not major, but that holds up the whole system for a landlord who inputs his information because they're asking for a blank check, so he can't move forward. And so there's little things like that that just need to be tweaked, which I believe can be fixed hopefully today. But it does not affect the process, does not slow down the process, because people are still taking those applications manually, and they'll be inputting it later once the system's smoother. So, again, we got a great team out there that they're doing a good job, and they appreciate the concerns that this board has, making sure that they get the right tools to get the job done.
And I am here at work daily, and as president of the board, we'll make sure that everything is expedited and pushed through to the auditor's office, daily, so the checks can be cut.
Yeah, I think the concern with you signing checks is it's a lot of autographs. That's all.
I know. I'm not doing the signing, the auditor's doing the signing. I'm expediting them through.
Okay.
Gonna need a new pen for that, huh, Dave? All right. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Right?
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Office of the Engineer, the next item of business is number 12. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Approve and enter a roadway improvement agreement with Fireland School District on Vermillion Road to add a turn lane at the new high school.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board? On this project, we're providing oversight on the completion of this project. Developer has agreed to pay the entire cost and expense of the improvements. Any discussion, guys? Okay. Madam Clerk, please read the roll. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Right.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Next item of business is number 13. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Amendment Resolution 20-560 adopted September 23, 2020, approving and entering agreement with GeoSci Inc. for ongoing engineering inspection and materials testing fees necessary to complete the construction in the Emerald Woods subdivision, Columbia Township. Said amendment is to reflect the amount of said contract will be $275,000 to be reimbursed by the developer.
Move to approve.
Right?
How about a
A
second?
second. Commissioner Moore?
Second?
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board?
I want to play poker with Dave today. He's showing his hand, so.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Second?
Shame on
I had to do that.
We
Sorry.
walked into that
I
one,
had
didn't
to
we?
do it. Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Can I move to adjourn? No. Aye.
Second.
Well, that's always.
Oh, boy.
I take it
Okay.
that was a die of lack of
I'm getting
more.
pretty.
Yeah, that was a
No
side
roll
comment.
call
No,
on
that
that,
wasn't
huh?
a real motion.
I'm not gonna say. I'll tell you guys later.
Okay, next item of business is number 14. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Final resolution and contract with the ODOT and PID 104864 LOR State Route 113, 3.75 miles. The project consists of the construction of a roundabout at the State Route 113 Baumhart Road, County Road 51 intersection, including curb and gutter, drainage, lighting, signage, and pavement markings lying within Lorain County. Estimate cost is $265,324.60, less OPWC amount of the same amount, $267,324.60, leaving a zero balance. Therefore, the county will not be required to deposit any funds at this time.
Move to approve.
Second.
That was a tie. Madam
Flip a
Clerk,
coin.
you,
Go ahead. Give it to Commissioner Lundy.
okay. Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Lundy. Any discussion from the board?
It's not a fan about roundabouts. That's-
Well, we have wonderful pictures on file here at the clerk's office, if anybody wants to see them.
I guess I would just add, and Commissioner Hung, you should know this well as a former member of council in North Ridgeville. The first roundabout I was exposed to in Lorain County, and I was exposed to some roundabouts on the east side of Cleveland, where they have a number of them, and some down in Columbus, especially in the Dublin area. They went roundabout crazy down there. I think they work very well, but they're certainly safer when they're single lanes and not double lanes. That's when you get into all the accidents. There's always going to be people who think they're NASCAR drivers and like to speed, making the left turns all the way through. But for the most part, I'm not aware of there being serious issues with the roundabout in North Ridgeville. We discussed some of this on our NOACA meeting on Friday, and I know Mayor Corcoran weighed in too, and I remember my previous conversations with Mayor Gillock, and he may have told you, Commissioner Hung, all the letters he got, everybody concerned about the loss of life and how crazy things are going to be with these roundabouts, and now folks in the community are singing the praises. There was a few things I dreaded more than going south on 83 through the Mills Road intersection before that roundabout went in, because you just sat there forever. You could probably take the paper and read the paper while you waited, but the roundabouts work out really well. So I'm an advocate of them as long as they stay at single lanes. And it seems like, yeah, it takes a little while for drivers to get oriented to them, but once they get oriented, I think they work out especially well. So I'm glad to see that we're doing this, and that'll keep traffic moving through that area, and I think moving through there safely.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Lundy. This project, it looks like it was started in November of 2017, so we should be looking at construction here. It says beginning on April 15th of 2021, so it's been winding its way through for a few years. And, yeah. Commissioner Moore? Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Next item of business is number 15. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Approve and enter a subdivider agreement with MLM Development LLC, David Zentaukovich, subdivider for Baker Creek Estates subdivision number 1 and 2 in Columbia Township.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Yep.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Next item of business is number 16. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Approve and enter an agreement with Geosite Inc. in the amount of $120,425 for ongoing engineering inspection and materials testing fees necessary to complete the construction of the Baker Creek Estates subdivision number 1 and 2 in Columbia Township.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board? I'd like to thank Prosecutor Petticord for his help on getting this clearly written. It looks beautiful.
Thank you.
Welcome.
As I told you, I'm worried about comments of legal work and beauty being put together when I'm concerned.
Yes,
It's not usually good for me, but I appreciate your
that's
comment.
why I said beautiful. You did a great job, thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Next item of business is number 17. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Amend Resolution 2025 adopted January 13, 2020, approving and ensuring professional services agreement with Greenman Pedersen, Inc., Berea, to provide construction administration and inspection services for LOR TR 72 2.91 miles, Pittsfield Township. Said amendment is to reflect an increase of $7,698.22, which is due to the federal funding through ODOT for the construction administration, which was capped and left a local share balance.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Next item of business is number 18. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Award and enter in contract with R&I Construction, Inc., Tiffin, Ohio, in the amount of $628,809.75 for the North Ridge Road, Milan Avenue Bridge 0712 Rehabilitation Project, Amherst. 3 bids were received on March 10th, this being the most responsive complying with specifications. R&I Construction, Inc. agrees to commence work on or before June 1st, 2021, and complete on or before September 15, 2021. They have proposed no substitutions, but will use the following subcontractors: Lake Erie Construction Company, Inc., Smith Paving and Excavating, Inc., Flat Rock Bridge Group, LLC, American Roadway Logistics, Inc., Van Kuren Services, Inc., and OPWC will provide 74% of the project. Remaining 20%, or $163,490.54, will be paid from the engineer account, and authorize administrator to notify the auditor to release retainage at the completion of the project.
So moved? That was good. I usually wait for Madam Chair.
Yes, move to approve.
Okay.
Apologize.
Well,
I-
I thought I did.
Oh, you move to approve?
Yes.
Second.
Okay.
You were struggling. I thought I'd do an assist here.
I was
I'm thinking, did
daydreaming, I
miss something here? And
apologize.
I'm like, okay,
No.
wait.
Give her-
I was caught daydreaming and my vice president came in and made the motion. I seconded. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Now, what am I gonna write on here, Teresa? Now I have to write the,
Just switch it backwards.
I now have to take more notes. Okay, that was 18. So we are
Yes.
now moving on to veterans. Next item of business is number 19. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Authorize payment to Family and Community Services, Inc., FCS Valor Home, Lorain County Program in the amount of $250,000 to support their capital project of 12 support housing units for the homeless veterans of Lorain County, Ohio, in accordance with the ORC 307.85A. FCS is building 12 supportive housing units for homeless veterans at 205 West 21st Street, Lorain, informally known as the Valor Home. There is a shortfall of approximately $250,000 due to the increased cost of construction from COVID.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board?
If I could, Madam
Go ahead.
President? Yeah. Well, first off, I want to make very clear that, I certainly support any time we can help our veterans in the community, and especially dealing with the serious issue of homeless veterans. I think this board has taken a lot of pride in hiring a number of veterans, and we feel strongly about hiring veterans and taking care of veterans. I'll be supporting this resolution here today. I guess the issue that I would like to address is more along the funding coming from general funds. General funds has been the popular topic of conversation since the new board was seated, indicating that general funds should not be used to support the pandemic relief grants that were approved by the previous board. So my feeling is that, as I said, I'm in total support of this today and will be voting for it. But with that said, there are organizations out there that would have received general fund dollars on the pandemic relief grants, and I believe that that broken promise should be revisited and fulfilled. So with that said, I had sent to my colleagues an amendment that I wanted to offer here today, so that would restore the grant funding to the senior centers, the Alpha House, Let's Get Real, Lorain County Free Clinic, Road to Hope, Genesis House, Safe Harbor, Health and Dentistry, Good Nights, Blessing House, Neighborhood Alliance, Save on Lake Community, North Ridgeville Community Care, Firelands Counseling and Recovery, Licata, Office on Aging, Lorain County Community College and Small Business Development, Veteran Services Commission, Second Harvest, Pathways Enrichment Center, Elyria YWCA, and Second Harvest. Those were general fund dollars, and since we kind of seem to have a change of heart about general fund dollars and how they're being used to support those in need in the community, I would move to amend.
Motion dies for lack of a second.
I'd like to have a comment. In regards to this, again, Our next resolution is the only reason why I'm supporting this. And that's gonna be probably another heated discussion. So really, I believe 19 and 20 are together. But the beauty of this resolution and what we're doing here is money's coming from Veteran Services to pay for this, but you know what? That may sound good, but the bottom line is, yes, it's coming out of general fund money. So we'll have that discussion probably on item number 20. What the Veteran Services are, or what the Valor Home is doing here, they are actually, this is gonna be a model for the state of Ohio. Currently, people are doing this throughout the state, where you have your individual rooms, and they have community showers and community kitchens. The concept that's going on here is giving people a little bit more independence by having their own efficiency kitchens, shower baths, all within the one unit, and it's being built cheaper than any of these other units that are being popping up. So a lot of veteran groups throughout the state of Ohio are looking at this program as could be the model for the whole state of Ohio as they move forward. This is being built right next to a 30-bed facility right now. And so this, I mean, I could pump this up. It's a great program. Again, I understand Commissioner Lundy's concerns. I had the same concerns, but I wasn't really supporting this 2 weeks ago until we saw what's going on with resolution number 20, which we'll discuss when we hit number 20. So that is why I'm supporting this resolution today.
Okay, from what I understand also, I didn't bring those numbers with me. Administrator Williams, you may have the numbers with you, but I believe the project was at 1.1 million total, and they were short due to the rising construction costs in the past year. The costs have gone up with the COVID pandemic, and they came and began a discussion with us, which then I went to Prosecutor Petticord to make sure and ensure that we legally could do this, and we could cite Ohio Revised Code where we as a board have permission to grant this due to matching federal dollars that we are matching. If you could give us a little insight on the numbers and how they work.
Well,
And
truly,
also too, just for the public, so the public knows, from what I understand, Valor Home now is a men's-only facility, correct, sir?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
Valor
that.
Home is a men's-only facility. This wing will be for the women veterans, from what I understand, this new building that they're remodeling.
I believe women will be included. I'm not sure if it's a sole one on that. And I'm sorry, Commissioner, I wasn't prepared for that talking point. What I can go back to is the original address. Because of COVID, material costs have skyrocketed. Now, unfortunately, they didn't know this and they didn't lock into an agreement at that time in order to go through and do it. So the revenue that you would be giving them is actually to cover the cost because of COVID. If we didn't have COVID, they would have had the money to go through and actually do the program on their own. But because of that, in driving up the cost of the material and the cost of getting contractors and that, this is where they're having that shortfall. So
And from
by
what I understand,
having
the
that,
federal-
it's going to allow them to continue to get the federal dollars, get on the project. There is a timeline with this one where if they don't have the project completed at a certain date, that they would lose the funding.
And I believe I didn't bring the numbers. The federal was approximately 600,000.
Correct.
Okay. And we had participation from Home Depot and another private entity, I believe. I just don't have it with me.
Yeah, multiple organizations are supporting this. It's a great program. It's definitely something that needs to go forward. It's going to impact not only one area, but the entire county. And most importantly, it is benefiting the veterans here that need our support on this.
And I know Veteran Services supported it, but they said they didn't have the funding to help them.
Correct.
That's what I was being told, so.
I just,
Be back to number 20.
I just wanted to add, I know that when we, just so you have the background information, when we closed up Golden Acres, we had, obviously, we bought a lot of things in bulk, and food products and all kinds of things. And we ended up loading those up and shipping those over to Valor Home when they opened. And Valor Home does amazing work and great work, and as I said, I'm, very, very supportive of it, so.
All right, thank you, Administrator. Well done, guys. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Okay, number 20. Madam Clerk, please read the resolution into the record.
Rescind Resolution 20-814, adopted December 9, 2020, creating a Veteran Services Fund.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Any discussion from the board?
I guess I'd like to have some discussion about this item here today. Having been a member of the previous board that adopted a Veterans Services Fund, we had lots of discussions with the veterans about how best to serve our veterans in the community. And the agreement was that funds that were remaining, the Veteran Services has done a good job year in and year out of returning funds to the general fund. And it was our thinking that we would establish a Veteran Services Fund where those dollars would come back to the general fund, and when they would roll back out into the Veteran Services Fund for the purpose of primarily providing workforce development opportunities for veterans and their spouses. And we saw that as a very important initiative for the community. The veterans worked very hard to serve all the veterans in our county. This is a commitment that was made to the veterans. I've always been a big advocate for our veterans. I think all Americans are advocates for veterans, but I know I always worked hard in Columbus to make sure the veterans got what they needed, and I've continued to do that as a county commissioner. And I believe that the Veteran Services Fund made a lot of sense and would be put to good use to help our veterans and their families, especially in the area of workforce development. So the program would have worked that way. $300,000, I believe, was left over from 2020. That would have been appropriated into our allocation line item, which I think is 19, for the purpose of being rolled back out into the Veteran Services Fund. It was my understanding that the Veteran Services were in consultation with the Auditor's Office and then also with the county or the State Auditor's Office, so that this special fund could be established and this program could move forward. So when I first saw this come across yesterday as a late add, let me stress a late add to the agenda, I thought, well, this is great. We're finally dotting the I's and crossing the T's and moving forward with this good program for our veteran services and our veterans in the county. And then when I read closely, seeing that we were actually rescinding the previous action, I was very disappointed, very alarmed. And again, this is the wrong direction for us to go. You don't break promises to our veterans, and that's what's being proposed here today. Also, as I think maybe my colleague is alluding to, it almost looks like this is being done for the sake of shifting the $300,000 to the Valor Home project, which I support, and I have no problem with that. But, that's not the way it should have been done if that's the maneuvering of the dollars here. It's certainly not a responsible, or I might even say ethical way of doing things.
Whoa,
So-
whoa.
Yep.
Whoa.
Not at this time.
So-
Let's let
Okay.
Commissioner Lundy
So,
finish.
I'm disappointed. I'll obviously be opposing rescinding, and but I just feel like we are breaking a promise. Not we.
Thank
that
you.
There's a proposal to break the promise to the veterans, and I'll retract my ethics comment
Thank you.
for the sake of having civil discussion. So, but it's the wrong thing to do. I'll put it that way.
Okay, I'm going to clear up any misinformation that might be out there on this now. Regarding this special revenue fund, I have an email from former County Administrator James Cordez dated December 1st, 2020. In that email, he states, quote, "Worked out everything with Veteran Services last night. They understand council caution and reasoning. They are good to go with what is proposed and pay increases." Close quote. The important part of this message is, quote, "They understand council caution," close quote. While I cannot pretend to get inside the mind of the former county administrator, I can share with you the information my office has gathered. My team contacted approximately a dozen officials throughout the state of Ohio. We also contacted state senators, state representatives, as well as former elected officials and several lawyers. Due diligence was performed on behalf of the taxpayers with regard to this issue. The resounding message from all of them is that this is an uncommon practice in the state of Ohio. There were several of them that we spoke to that used very strong language regarding their opinion on this and the abuse that could happen if the fund was improperly managed. I would like to add that I conducted a 3-year history of the funds we allocate for our Veterans Commission in Lorain County. The average has been $2.5 million. The budget we passed today gives them $2.8 million for 2021. The relationship between the Veterans Commission and this Board of Commissioners has been good since we started, and it has always been good in the past, in the recent history, from what I've been told. It will continue to be good, and they will have an open door with the board. And should they exhaust their $2.8 million budget in 2021 and need to ask for more, they certainly have an open door to us, and they can come and do so. They do great work in our community, and I look forward to seeing all of the results they will deliver with their 2021 budget allocation. Commissioner Moore.
Now, so they're getting $300,000 extra in their budget, correct?
Yes.
The problem is this other fund they're trying to create had zero oversight from this board. Cuyahoga County uses 95% of the allocated funds, their veteran services. It seems like we're not even hitting 70% here. So, bottom line is, I'm not supporting something that's not being done in other counties. This is uncommon. And as Commissioner Hung shared with you, this is not a common practice, this fund. It was basically taking all the restrictions that the money has and giving it total unrestricted use. And that's why I'm supporting number 20. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Moore.
If I could add, Madam President, I think a couple key things to point out. One, this is an approach, programming approach that's used in Cuyahoga County. Also, Ohio Revised Code, has some pretty tight guardrails around, how money can be used. It's almost insulting the credibility of the Veteran Services Board by even insinuating they might not use the dollars properly or recklessly in some way, because they've always acted responsibly and effectively to serve the veterans in the community. The key provision in here is that it says at such time as the Board of Commissioners determines that funds deposited into the Veteran Services Funds are necessary for other purposes, the board may return unused funds to the general fund. And that was the point that you referred to in your email there. I forget what the exact wording was. But council wanted to make sure that there was a provision in there that simply said that, okay, we'll establish this fund, we'll roll the money into the fund, but if the day comes where the commissioners say, hey, we're in a recession, budget's tight, we were trying to honor this commitment the best we could, but those dollars are now needed for general fund purposes to run county government and provide services to the taxpayers, we were able to retrieve those dollars. So it was not a sign-off where we said, here's the money, do what you want to do, we can never touch it again. So I just want to make sure we have clarification. It's done in Cuyahoga. The state auditor's office determines that it's a special fund and a special account. That's why the auditor's office was working with Veteran Services and with the state auditor's office to get this established. So I I'm a little concerned about painting with the brush that maybe the money was going to be spent in a less than responsible way or can't be trusted with the funds or whatever. I think the key part of it is that the money could come back if we needed the money to come back, and that's where council, Commissioner Hung was cautioning us, make sure there's a provision there so the money can come back, and that provision is there.
If I may, Commissioner Moore. So Commissioner Lundy, my colleague, has brought up that it's done this way in Cuyahoga County. Some of the counties that we contacted that said they do not allow it to be done this way. Medina County does not allow it to be done this way. Erie County does not allow it to be done this way. Ottawa County does not allow it to be done this way. And I'm not even going to read you the quotes I am not going to read you the quotes with the feedback that we were given pertaining to this. Ashland County does not do it this way. Wayne County does not do it this way. Holmes County, Knox County, Stark County does not do it this way. Commissioner Moore.
I just don't appreciate the insinuations that are being made. Their budget went from 2.5 million to 2.8. They got their $300,000 in their budget. The discussion at hand right now is whether or not the fund exists or whether we should move forward, so. I'm not even, what?
You need to talk louder.
Maybe I better not.
Okay, are you all set, Commissioner Moore?
done.
Okay, Commissioner Lundy, you're all
No,
set?
I would just add, just because something is done or isn't done in another county doesn't necessarily mean it's right or wrong. Some counties try to do more innovative things to provide better services, and some don't. I just feel that it's a good program. It's obviously we were going to pilot it, and we were launching it in 2020. Getting it established and see how it goes. It's one that if the board felt it wasn't working out well and you felt enough dollars weren't getting out to service the veterans in the community, then we could have pulled it back. But there's just no reason to pull it back at this time. I have tremendous respect for all those commissioners who serve on that board and for their service to our country and our community. And I would expect things to move forward in a responsible fashion. And I'm not sitting here today saying you're accusing them of anything. I'm just saying it
Sounds
just
like
doesn't look good. The perception doesn't look good. I just think we should at least move forward, give it a try. If it doesn't work out this year, then we have the option of pulling it back. If it doesn't work out the following year, you can pull it back. But I just don't think there's any need to pull it off the table at this point and break a promise that's been made to our veterans.
I would like to clarify for the public and for the media, this is not a quote-unquote pilot program. This is a special revenue fund. It was passed on December 9th by the previous board, and they did not actually go through to the auditor's office and set up the fund for the overage that they had at the end of the year for the veterans to be placed into this special revenue fund. Once placed into this special revenue fund, they would have complete control of the money that could build unless the commissioners asked for it back at a date in the future. So since they have not consistently in the past 3 years used all of the money they've been allocated, what we are saying now is we are giving you we are allocating to the Veterans Commission 2.8 million. That's $3 million more than last year. Please use it to do good for our veterans. We have complete trust and faith in our Veterans Commission. They are wonderful, good men and women. Please go out there and do good. The community wants you to do good, and these commissioners want you to do good with it.
I just would add that, there's in government, the wheels turn slowly. There's always a process we have to follow and dot the i's and cross the t's. So, we were in conversation with the auditor's office, and obviously, had that fund been established, it would have been acted upon as part of, what we did today when we were looking at our overall budget picture. So, just because everything wasn't finalized by the end of the year. In fact, we didn't know what the actual carryover was in these accounts until the end of the year, until the auditor certified the books. So I just want to make sure we're explaining the right logistics of the process.
Yes, that's what I did. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
No.
Okay, moving on to reports. Mr. Thomas Williams, County Administrator, do you have a report for us today, sir?
Well, I had a meeting with the Lorain County Health Commissioner last week. It went well, and he got my hopes up. I think we're gonna be able to get rid of these stupid things here, hopefully by summer. And with that, we are in the plans of getting our employees who want to get vaccinated done mid-April. We're going to use the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which would be the one shot. We'll probably do it on a Saturday, and just so we have a location that can go through. And then and that way, individuals can go through and rest if needed afterwards. But we are moving forward with that. And the health commissioner would like to come in maybe at our meeting on the 31st and kind of give an update, let you know what's going on. And then we should have a date when the employees will be able to get vaccinated. So other thing I just wanted to do, just a personal thing, actually, it's my mother's 75th birthday today, Pat Williams. So I just wanted to wish her a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Pat.
Thank you.
Birthday.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Administrator Williams. Moving on to Assistant County Prosecutor, Mr. Dan Petticord.
Happy birthday, Mrs. Williams. It's well done, Tom.
Gotta be a saint with raising.
She's got, I wasn't gonna say that, but I knew you would, so I left it for you. Thank you, Commissioner Hung. I don't have much today. I do have two pieces of litigation that I'd like to discuss with the board in executive session. So I would ask that when you move to go into executive session, it is for the additional purpose of discussing one piece of current litigation, one piece of threatened litigation. Other than that, I don't have anything further. Happy St. Patty's Day.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Petticord. Now we will move on to D, Commissioner's Report. Commissioner Lundy,
I mean, let me
the
start.
floor is yours.
Okay. Yeah, I just, I guess I was a little concerned because I started my day with an email put underneath my door, I believe from your office, Madam President,
Yes.
regarding an email exchange that took place in 2020. I don't know what the purpose is, but if it's to send the message that you're looking at my emails, I guess you message received. I don't know what that's all about. I don't know if you want to explain it, but I did have this slid under my door, and certainly didn't want to start the day today this way. But all I can say is I don't know if it's some intention of intimidation or threats that I'm looking at your emails or what it is, but it just really caught me off guard to start my day. And just to give you a little insight, I'm not someone who's intimidated, so you can look at my emails if you want. But while you're looking at my emails, I'm actually working on things for the people today. I've had a conversation with Ford Motor Company regarding the announcement that possibly we'll be having a project that was supposed to be added to Avon Lake, going south of the border to Mexico, the Next Generation project. Ford had said they were going to invest $900 million. It looks like to date it's about $185 million they're willing to invest. The heavy-duty truck, I'm told by Stephanie Fries, who I spoke with, said that things are going well. It's a strong product. It's a profitable product, and they're looking to add more people to help build that product. When I questioned her about whether it meant things were definitely dead for additional investment, she stated to me that Ford continues to look at options. It sounds like an answer you might get from a politician, but she said Ford continues to look at options, and we'll be in conversation with them. So I was working on that instead of looking at emails. Also, I was involved in conversation with the Community Protection Initiative with our community leaders. The case count continues to go down with COVID cases. They are lowering the age to 16, which I know my niece and nephew and all the younger adults were happy to hear, starting on March 29th. Everyone is still worried about a wave at the end of this month in early April. And I think that's due to what we've seen in Europe with a spike in incidents that have taken place. It's important that if you get your first dose, definitely make sure that you get in for your second dose. Thankfully, only about 2 to 3% are not showing up for their second dose. Now, I don't know if that means they found it someplace else, but if you're on a 2-shot regimen, you got to get the 2 shots. One's not going to do it. So for our veterans, please reach out to the Veterans Administration for your vaccination, because you can get in right away. The only contingency is you must be enrolled in the VA healthcare program. The number to call for the vets for vaccination is 216-707-7660, 216-707-7660. And also you can call our Veteran Services if you need a ride to the VA. I want to also talk a little bit about the emergency rental assistance, which we were drilling down on today, and I want to thank Commissioner Moore for making your trip over there and really trying to fine-tune this even more, and Commissioner Hung for your ongoing support of the emergency rental assistance program. I spoke with Congresswoman Capter's office. The concern is that the CDC had issued an eviction moratorium through the end of April, and then the government had issued a moratorium on mortgages for a later date in the year. Come to find out in my conversations with Sherrod Brown's office and with Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur's office that there was confusion where they thought that the rental eviction moratorium was following the same path as the mortgage moratorium, and came to find out they're on 2 separate tracks. So our request to them was to make sure that if CDC is going to extend the eviction moratorium for renters, that they do that as soon as possible, so that obviously gives us a lot more time to get these checks to people, so it doesn't ramp up the courts and all the attorneys are getting ready for their billable hours to go in and clog the courts with these eviction cases. And the bar associations agreed to help out, try to mediate. We could avoid all that if we just got the eviction moratorium moved to a later date. Also, I was in conversation with our sheriff and his leadership team concerning the jail, and the state of Ohio is stepping up with dollars to provide changes for jails, renovation efforts. I'm thankful for whatever they put on the table. $50 million is not going to go a long way when you do the easy math of 88 counties, but nonetheless, we will be getting an application in. Had that conversation with the sheriff yesterday, and we'll see how that works out. Also wanted to make you aware, and I know Commissioner Hung, you were on that call there on Friday with NOACA, our Zoom meeting. We were talking about CMAQ, which is Congestion Mitigation Air Quality. They come up with all these crazy terms, but there's a grant application that is available for communities in Lorain County. Obviously, the primary focus is to reduce air pollution, I guess you could say, through dealing with congestion issues, similar to what was done down there on Mills Road with all the cars parked on 83, trying to get through the intersection. But the bottom line is there's $32 million available. The counties need to step in and compete. I've sent the information out to the mayors, primarily to Mayor Corcoran, Mayor Jensen, because I understand those communities are working together, I think, on not one, but there's 2, if I remember correctly, roundabouts that are being looked at over there. And also Avon Lake is looking at one. It's with the hope, and these are implementation dollars, not planning dollars. They'll be able to compete for those. And finally, the Carvana facility planning change was approved by NOACA. We had some interesting conversation. It looked like it might jump off the rails, which would have delayed the project. Currently, under the standards, Carvana would have to operate with an on-site septic system. We know how delightful that could have been. Instead of converting to a sewer system and connecting to the city of Lorain, we were able to work through some of those issues with the city of Elyria so that we could get that approved and Carvana could move forward. And looking forward to joining both of you when it comes ribbon cutting day, and I hope that comes up soon so that we can put to work an estimated 400 workers in Lorain County with the opportunity to grow to as many as 900 workers. And that completes my report.
Peace is not when everyone agrees. I would like to propose that we can respect each other and work in a bipartisan way to do the work of representing the residents in Lorain County. Since Commissioner Lundy has brought this up again on the floor and not in the mechanism of working together to achieve a common goal in a bipartisan way, I would like to remind everyone of a statement he made on January 5th, 2021. Quote, "I take the fiscal responsibility of this county very seriously. I believe we have managed the budget very well." Close quote. The previous Board of Commissioners chose to strip over $10 million from your essential services or general fund. Our residents rely on our sheriff, our jail, the tracking of sexual offenders, warrants, sending a deputy out when the call is made to our 911 center. These two departments are the single most important to quality of life, the health, and the welfare of our residents in Lorain County. They are your lifeline when you call. And I think for the residents to hear that a fellow board member feels it is proper to bring up the distribution of general fund dollars that are to be used for this exact purpose, has now gotten to the point of being disturbing. To say that you, quote, have managed the budget very well, close quote. To say that and then advocate for the doling out of $4.1 million in a meeting where we have determined the budget for 2021 that provides these essential services for our residents, it's reckless at a minimum for any official to say. I cannot and will not agree with the notion that instead of keeping our residents as safe as we possibly can, that we would just give away those general fund dollars. This is partisan posturing designed to hurt the residents of Lorain County. September 30th, 2020, $900,000 of CARES Act money going out the door, with the possibility of another $500,000 being sent out to the Veterans Commission. As we now know, some of those funds were pulled back because they didn't meet the program requirements. As you know, recently, as president of the board, we passed a resolution to rectify the issue. And I'm going to go back and let the public know how this unfolded. September 30th, Resolution 20-571 states the funds were to come from account number CARES funding. No actual account number typed into the resolution. When I asked, I was told that the account number would be added in later for the auditor, so he knew where the money would come from. The money came from the CARES Act fund because I cross-referenced the spreadsheet, the one I released to the press. It's on here. Same day, different resolution. 20-562, $83,000 to Lorain County Public Health. Account number CARES funding. No account number, again, typed into the resolution, but it still makes it onto the CARES Act spreadsheet. So I think it's safe to say here there is a pattern of passing this CARES funding by designating and using the word CARES funding, and then the money would come out of the CARES fund, account number 1050, which would be handwritten after the meeting, later on the resolution. October 21st, Resolution 20-620, that I have right here. Precedent still set. Funds to be distributed by account number CARES Act funding. Also on October 21st, we have a contract for a project in the recorder's office. We have a resolution for that, 20-633. Here's the interesting nugget from that. It is written with the CARES Act account number on it. And here's what that shows you. Yes, it could be done. The previous Board of Commissioners now have a resolution with the actual CARES account funding number on it. We also know that Commissioner Lundy is aware of the CARES Act account because he gave us a review of this very legislation in the budget meeting when the recorder was requesting the additional funds he needs to finish this particular project. I've given a brief history lesson on how it was done to illustrate for the public what happened next. Well, first, it was an election on November 3rd. In that election, 2 previous members of the Board of Commissioners were voted out. On November 4th, one day later, Resolution 20-671 to pay, quote, COVID pay, close quote, for Lorain County employees for, quote, services rendered for mitigating or responding to COVID-19 health emergency to include the following offices, departments, and jurisdictions, close quote. Again, in 2 additional places in the resolution, it says COVID pay, the day after they lost the election. On November 20th, Resolution 20-727 had to be passed to clean up the language on 20-671. This now reads as, quote, hazard pay, close quote. Nowhere in there is CARES money or COVID money, and the resolution reads, quote, general fund monies, close quote. $5 million of your general fund dollars. There is a legal question on this. If you have never done bonuses this way in the past, and you have not set a legal precedent to do them, can you do them? When the state auditor comes in and takes a look, we will find out. On November 12th, Resolution 20-680, American Legion, Post 211, $10,000 from CARES funds, account number CARES funds, for deep cleaning of a facility. And it is on the CARES spreadsheet. Also on November 12th, Veterans Who Care received $40,000 CARES funds, and the account number listed is CARES funds, yet again, on the sheet, but no account number on the resolution, handwritten after the fact. November 18th. Let's Get Real, $150,000. Alpha House, $150,000. Genesis House, $150,000. Road to Hope, $500,000. Lorain County Free Clinic, $150,000. What do all of these have in common? They all say in one place on the resolution, quote, from COVID funds, close fund. No, close quote. Nowhere does it say CARES Act funds. Nowhere does it even have the designation we have seen in previous resolutions of account number CARES funds. It's not there, folks. There is no account number to draw the funds from. $1.1 million. These dollars have been represented out there as CARES Act funds. They are not. They are not on the spreadsheet. November 25th, we have 8 resolutions that were passed for a total of $1,730,000. All 8 of these resolutions state, quote, to assist the organization during the pandemic, close quote. And in another paragraph state, quote, pandemic in the amount, close quote. Nowhere on these resolutions does it state CARES Act funds or account number CARES Act or COVID funds, let alone an actual account number to draw the funds from. The previous board promised these charities $1.7 million of your tax dollars with a vaguely written resolution with no mechanism whatsoever to cut the check from. It is the responsibility of the board when taking up resolutions, especially resolutions that are dealing with millions of taxpayer dollars, that they be written accurately. The question is, did the previous board even read the resolution before they voted on it? Clearly, someone on the previous board should have been responsible enough and with their years of experience to notice how poorly written these resolutions were. Well, I can provide that answer for you. The answer to whether or not the previous board read these resolutions before they voted on them is no. And I have for you here the agenda from November 25th. The representatives from these charities joined on the Zoom platform. They talked about their charity. And the motion was made by the previous board to give them money. These were not grants. A grant is what you see in the resolution for the Valor Home today. The resolution cites Ohio Revised Code and the legal mechanism to award the grant to the Valor Home. The account number from which to draw the funds is written in the resolution. To the members of the media who've been claiming that these were grants for months, I would refer you to this legislation so you can see what a grant looks like. Now to recap, there was no resolution written on November 25th, and the previous board voted on a piece of paper that did not exist. The resolution was written after the fact. The resolution reads, quote, "Be it resolved by the Lorain County Board of Commissioners that we hereby authorize payment to Fido's Companion to assist the organization during the pandemic in the amount of $75,000. December 2nd, we have 3 resolutions totaling $250,000. Again, the previous board invited these representatives to their Zoom meeting. Nowhere on these resolutions does it state CARES Act funds, account number CARES Act, or COVID funds, let alone the actual account number to draw the funds from. Nor does the resolution provide the legal mechanism from the Ohio Revised Code to write a grant. December 9th, 6 resolutions for a total of $775,000. Again, let's review. The resolutions use the word pandemic twice. Nothing else. What was done to these charities is unconscionable. What I do know is that after November 25th, possibly earlier than that, the previous board did not open any of these discussions with the nonprofit groups with a resolution in hand. They motioned, seconded, had another discussion, then read the roll. The resolutions were written after the fact. Only they on the previous board know if it was done on purpose or if it was just incompetence. December 16th, $129,000 for 3 charities. The word pandemic, nothing else. Do you see a pattern here, folks? I have talked to several lawyers on this matter, and they are all in agreement. The actions taken in November and December were not complete. They were not complete because they did not contain the necessary provisions for accounting and clarity of usage of the funds. The county, through the board, can only act in ways the Ohio Revised Code authorizes. There is no general grant of authority to allow donations or grants to nonprofits. And again, we go back to you can't just gift money to charities from the general fund. To the charities, we are very sorry that this happened to you. However, Commissioner Moore and I were not on the board when you were used as pawns in their political gamesmanship. Just last week, President Biden signed into law the American Rescue Plan. I am letting the residents of Lorain County know today, all resolutions pertaining to the distribution of these funds will be written legally and professionally. This board will not vote on any measure that grants, awards, or gives any dollar amount to any entity without the proper language and account number and the actual document before us to review prior to voting. As we now get down to the work of figuring out what we as a board can and cannot do with these funds, I would suggest that Commissioner Lundy work with the board and stop this political posturing to ensure that the entities that may qualify for this relief are considered. I would also highly recommend upon program rollout that those that are interested to contact my office and Commissioner Moore's office, as well as Administrator Tom Williams. Thank you. That concludes my report. Commissioner Moore?
I have no report.
At this time, I move to adjourn into executive session to discuss pending litigation, new hires, and, what else was it, Teresa? Litigation. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore? Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
more fun when there's people here.
We're good.
We have returned from executive session and our meeting is back in session. Our next item is E-Clerk's report. Madam Clerk, please read the report into the record.
Tomorrow, March 18th at 9:30, we will have our land bank meeting via the Zoom platform.
And are you gonna have an agenda for that prepared today, or do you do that?
It went out
It did?
Monday
Email?
with the link. Yeah.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Our
Welcome.
next item is F, Board Correspondence. I move to waive the reading of the Board Correspondence.
Second.
Go ahead,
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Lundy. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Lundy,
Aye.
Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
I move to approve the personnel summary sheet.
Second?
Motion was made by Hung, seconded by Moore. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hung,
Yes.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Lundy.
Aye.
Meeting announcements. Our next regularly scheduled meeting is Wednesday, March 24th, 2021 at 9:30 a.m. Is there any further business from this board? Since there's no further business, this meeting is adjourned.